This is the news on Niger Delta Television. I am Joyce Batowe. Here are the highlights for this evening. Governor Doyediri charged journalists not to neglect their duties as watchdogs of the society. Bayelsa State House of Assembly felicitates with Speaker as he marks his birthday. Plus, President Tinubu reiterates government's policies and necessary interventions. Bayelsa State Governor Senator Doyediri on Thursday urged media practitioners in Nigeria not to shirk their responsibility as watchdogs, agenda setters, and drivers of development in the society. Governor Diri made the call while declaring open the inaugural Bayelsa Media Summit in Yenagoa. Government House correspondent George Ameli tells us more.
The inaugural Bayelsa Media Summit held on Thursday at the DSP Alamiasia Banquet Hall with the media elite in attendance. Chairman of the Nigerian Union of Journalists, Bayelsa State Council, welcomed the esteemed guest, noting that the idea of the summit is holding journalists to account. Bayelsa State Governor Senator Doyediri, represented by his deputy, Senator Lawrence Erujakpo, recalled the critical developmental roles journalists of old played in Nigeria's development.
We must know that journalists have played a major role in our development and our historical development in this country. The struggle for independence and displace of the colonial masters started in 1923 when the pilot newspaper was established by Macaulay and his co-authors. And if you watch very well, all those who were in the forefront for struggle for the freedom and independence of Nigeria, they were almost all journalists. About Macaulay, Nnamdi Azikiwe, Bafemi Awolowo, and the Enahoro, to the Nahoro, and the rest of them.
He decried the influx of quackery into the profession.
Junk that we now read from our social media journalism, it needs to be corrected. Because in the absence of the best, they are available, occupy. And the available sometimes will not be the appropriate. As you know, quantity occupy a space, but quality edifies a space. If all of us who are here are not human beings of quality, if we're human beings of quantity, the order in this room will be different. And so, we need to look at quality journalism and work within that realm.
And charge journalists to hold society to account.
The news today is not as investigative as it used to be under Reku and Delegiwa, where we now act of more of them say from the table of the journalists. And so the correspondence span are drying, as well as the voice of the reporters are drowning. As you know very well, if only one man is dancing on the streets, no matter how beautiful the dance and the song is singing, he is a madman. But when many people are dancing on the streets and singing, it's called a rally or a crusade. And so, when we have very few journalists who are still doing investigative journalism and then doing what we call real reportage, then we are heading towards that scenario. And I believe it is time we up our game.
The theme of the summit is Media, Culture and Identity, Promoting Indigenous Perspectives. In attendance were the Commissioner for Information, Honorable Ebiowo Koku Obiai, President of the Nigerian Union of Journalists, Comrade Alhassan Yahaya, amongst other top personalities in the industry. From the DSP Alamiesa Banquet Hall in Government House, Yenagoa, George Ameli reporting for NDTV News.
The Speaker of the Bayelsa State House of Assembly, Right Honorable Abraham Ngobere, has attributed the immense success achieved by his leadership to the unflinching support and understanding of members of the House. Right Honorable Ngobere made the remark at the birthday get-together organized by his colleagues at the Assembly Complex, Yenagoa, to commemorate his birthday anniversary. He said the palpable unity and collective approach in handling issues in the House has ultimately created the enabling environment for the state government to flourish in terms of meeting the needs of the people without unnecessary distractions. Earlier, member after member commended Right Honorable Ngobere for his inclusive leadership style, which has helped first-timers and even those in opposition parties settle down quickly and make contributions without being discriminated. They said his love for his people, which is clearly demonstrated by the unprecedented development he has brought to them, and his generosity is what has provoked the desire of everyone around him to celebrate on this auspicious moment and wished him the very best in life. Stakeholders from 250 oil-bearing communities in the Niger Delta have expressed commitment to collaborate with Pipeline Infrastructure Nigeria Limited, PINL, in the fight against oil theft and pipeline vandalism in the region. The stakeholders made the commitment yesterday in Port Harcourt at a meeting organized by PINL to appraise the company's operation on the Trans-Niger pipeline. Earlier in his opening remarks, Community Relations Consultant at PINL, Dr. Akpos Meze, said the essence of the gathering was to reflect on the journey so far and strategize for future success. Meze explained that PINL's mandate to protect the Trans-Niger pipeline has been achieved through engagements with the host communities. This collaborative approach has not only led to stronger relations, but also forged a united front against pipeline vandalism. Meze outlined PINL's achievements to include social investments based on needs assessments, environmental restoration, and improved crude oil production. He said the company had achieved near zero infrastructures on the Trans-Niger pipeline, which had boosted investors' confidence in the economy and led to increased national revenue. Meze also highlighted factors driving the company's success, including timely salary payments to surveillance guards, commitment to community welfare, and prioritization of worker safety. President of the Movement for the Survival of Izon Ethnic Nationality in the Niger Delta, Kennedy Tonjo West, commended PINL for doing a wonderful job in protecting the Trans-Niger pipeline across 250 communities in the Niger Delta. Moving on, the Inspector General of Police, Kayode Egbetokun, has summoned an officer, Inspector Shiona Titus, for a high-over video he made advocating for the released social activist Martins Vincent Osho, more commonly known as Very Dark Man. Reports say the message dispatched through the Police Press Force Abuja was addressed to the Assistant Inspector General of Police in charge of the Police Mobile Force, PMF, with copies sent to relevant high-ranking officers in Abuja. Very Dark Man, an activist known for his blunt commentaries and online exposés on societal ills, was arrested last week Friday following what the EFCC described as multiple petitions lodged against him by unnamed individuals. He was, however, released by the EFCC to his lawyer, Deji Adeyanju, on Wednesday evening. President Bola Tinubu on Thursday stated that recent government policies are not meant to punish Nigerians, but are necessary interventions to prevent the economy from collapsing. Tinubu made this known at the 55th Annual Conference of the Nigerian Institute of Estate Surveyors and Valuers in Abuja with the theme, Transform, Invest, Thrive, Optimizing Real Estate Finance and Taxation. It brought together stakeholders to deliberate on the intersection of real estate and fiscal policy. Tinubu stated that reforms were tailored to create a more investment-friendly environment, particularly in the real estate sector, and to boost job creation and economic growth. The president, who was represented by the Minister of Housing and Urban Development, Ahmed Dangiwa, said that the administration was committed to diversifying the economy and expanding revenue sources, adding that government will uphold fairness and transparency in implementing these policies. He acknowledged the critical role of estate surveyors and valuers in achieving these objectives, and expressed the government's willingness to partner with the Institute to deliver effective tax administration and revenue utilization. Delivering the keynote address, Executive Chairman of the Federal Inland Revenue Service, FIRS, Dr. Zach Adedeji, represented by Professor Mohammed Sanusi, described the real estate sector as a vital but under-assessed part of Nigeria's economy. You're watching Niger Delta Television News, reaching you live from our studios here in Ikeki. On the headlines, Governor Doye Diri charged journalists not to neglect their duties as watchdogs of the society. Bayelsa State House of Assembly felicitates with Speaker as it marks his birthday. Still to come in the news, President Tinubu reiterates government's policies and necessary interventions. Details of these and other stories coming after the break. Please stay with us.
Welcome to Niger Delta Television News and Current Affairs Department at the Ernest Ikoli Media Complex here in Yanagwa, Bayelsa State.
One of NDTV's traditional objectives is to disseminate information with renewed vigor. We build teamwork for accountability, efficiency, and accuracy.
Our community reports, eyewitness accounts, current affairs discussions are detailed and competitive.
As NDTV reporters, undiluted report is our goal. We gather the news and bring it to you just as it is.
Our cameras are poised to get in the story behind the story in an in-depth news report.
Our new digital equipment are top-notch with clearer visuals and audio. NDTV is repositioned to serve you better.
Join us on the news every day at 7 a.m., 12 p.m., and our major bulletin at 7:30 p.m. on Channel 25 UHF. NDTV, crystallizing the vision.
We're glad to know you're still there. Welcome back. And from the ever-busy world of entertainment, Nigerian music stars Burna Boy, Rema, Ria Star, and Shali Poppy have earned nominations at the 2025 BET Awards, further cementing their impact on the global music scene and highlighting the dominance of Afrobeats on the international stage. For details of this report and more stories, let's join Aliko Belumi.
The organizers of the 2025 BET Awards unveiled the list of nominees for the upcoming event on Thursday, May 8, 2025. 5 Nigerian Afrobeat stars, Burna Boy, Tems, Rema, Ira Star, and Shali Poppy, have been nominated for the 2025 BET Award, furthering cementing the general global impact and prominence in the music industry. Ira Star topped the Nigerian nominees with 3 nominations, including Best R&B Pop Artist, Best New Artist, and Best International Act. Tems also bagged 2 nominations in the BET category for empowering tracks, Burning and Hold On. Rema, Shali Poppy, and Burna Boy each scored a nomination, with Burna Boy vying for Best Male Hip-Hop Artist, Rema up for Best International Act, and Shali Poppy competing for Best New International Act. The winners will be announced during the live ceremony on June 9th at the Peacock Theatre in Los Angeles, with the event airing on BET. The Federal High Court in Lagos has granted bail to Ezekiel Tengod Oyedichukwu, also known as Ezeti, a former manager to gospel singer Mercy Chinwo, in the sum of 20 million naira over allegations related to a $397,106 foreign exchange fraud. Presiding over the case on Friday, Justice Chukwu Jeku Aneke ruled that the bail must be secured with one surety who resides in Lagos and possesses property equivalent in value to the 20 million naira bail sum. The court granted Ezeti a 72-hour deadline to fulfill the bail conditions after he was previously released into the custody of his lawyer, Mr. Ojukwu Chukwuasolu. Recall that Ezeti was first charged by EFCC with 14 counts relating to fraudulent conversion. However, the anti-graft agency later amended the charges, reducing them to 7 counts focused on alleged unlicensed fraud transactions. Aluko Pelumi reporting for NDTV Entertainment News.
The International Monetary Fund (IMF) Thursday disclosed that Nigeria has fully repaid its financial support of $3.4 billion it requested and received in April 2020. The fund was disbursed under the Rapid Financing Instrument designed to help alleviate the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic and the sharp fall in oil prices. An IMF spokesperson on Thursday said Nigeria is, however, expected to honor additional payments in the form of special drawing rights, charges of about $30 million annually. Earlier in the week, a document titled Total IMF Credit Outstanding Movements from 1 May 2025 to 6 May 2025, published on IMF website, showed its list of debtors. Nigeria was not listed among the debtors, which contained a total of 91 developing and least developed countries, owing the fund a total of $117,797,656,224 as of 6th May 2025. Otega Ogra, Senior Special Assistant on Digital and New Media to President Bola Tinubu on Wednesday, in a tweet about the payments, said Nigeria is now better placed to strengthen its fiscal positions. And from the foreign scene, in a historic moment for the Catholic Church, Cardinal Robert Francis Prevost has been elected as the new Pope following a 24-hour conclave in the Vatican. The white smoke that billowed from the chimney of the Sistine Chapel late Thursday signaled the church had chosen its new spiritual leader, ushering in a new era with the election of the first American pontiff in the church's 2,000-year history. Prevost, a former missionary in Peru and the head of the Vatican's influential dicastery for bishops, will now be known as Pope Leo XIV. He succeeds Pope Francis, who passed away last month at the age of 88 after over a decade at the helm of the global Catholic community. His election marks a major milestone not only for American Catholics, but also for the global church. Fluent in Spanish, he is known for his pastoral sensitivity and administrative rigor. Born in Chicago in 1955, Prevost grew up in a home regularly visited by priests, drawn not just by the warmth of the family, but also by the cooking of his Spanish mother, Mildred Martinez. His early exposure to faith life was reinforced by his father, Louis Marius Prevost, a French-Italian catechist, and by his own involvement as an altar boy and parish school student. Pope Leon XIV, born Robert Prevost, hails from the United States and brings with him decades of pastoral experience, much of it shaped by his work as a missionary in Peru. And President Donald Trump's administration is preparing to welcome the first group of white South African refugees to the United States. The New York Times reports that the administration has fast-tracked asylum for about 1,000 Afrikaners, white South Africans of Dutch descent, who it claims are victims of racial persecution in South Africa, their home country. The move follows Trump's sharp criticism of South Africa's land expropriation law, which he says will enable the South African government seize ethnic minority Afrikaners' agricultural farms without compensation. The act has led to a diplomatic row between South Africa and President Donald Trump last week. Donald Trump froze all U.S. aid to South Africa. South Africa's foreign minister says Trump's order lacks factual accuracy and fails to recognize South Africa's profound and painful history of colonialism and apartheid. And land ownership is a contentious issue in South Africa, with most farmlands being owned by white people 30 years after the end of apartheid. That report brings us to a close, but before we go, here is a look at some of our top stories. Bayelsa State Governor Senator Doye Diri on Thursday urged media practitioners in Nigeria not to shirk their responsibility as watchdogs agenda setters, and drivers of development in society. We also brought you a report that the Speaker of the Bayelsa State House of Assembly, Right Honorable Abraham Ngobere, has attributed the immense success achieved by his leadership to the unflinching support and understanding of members of the House. And finally, President Bola Tinubu on Thursday said the recent government policies are not meant to punish Nigerians, but are necessary interventions to prevent the economy from collapsing. That's it on Niger Delta Television News tonight. I am Joyce Batowe. Thanks for watching.